is Virginie Fougea. I'm the Global Director of Admissions and Financial Aid at INSEAD. And I have been working at INSEAD for the last 20 years or so in different roles, in different capacity, but mostly around admissions and financial aid. For MBA, but also for the Master in Management, and now EMBA, and the Executive Master in Finance as well. So the team is dealing with all applicants for the Master program for INSEAD. The current tuition fees are 89,000 euro. I'm not sure I have not done the conversion in USD, but I figure out people can do it, but it's 89,000 euro at the moment. It includes health insurance, for example. It includes language tuition, because we have a language policy which requires our graduates to have a validated level in 3 different languages. That can be included, obviously, their native language, and we also have obviously the validation of the English level when English is not their native language. But in addition to this, we also offer language courses because people have to have 3 languages validated by graduation. So we facilitate that, and there are language courses offered, and we work with the admits from the moment they are admitted to fulfill this future requirement. So that's included in the tuition fees as well. And then people need to plan for, in case they want to take an additional course that is not included, for example, that comes with the cost. If they want to travel between our 2 campuses, Fontainebleau or Singapore, this is not included. If they want to take part in a specific trek or field trip, that will not be included, obviously. Books, housing, accommodation is not included. There are already a number of electives that are included to meet the graduation requirements. So that's all included. It's just it's an additional one that would be of specific interest in addition to those that are already pre-included. So that happens, or people who would like to be a little bit, have a longer MBA, so some sort of, so stay for an additional period of time, and that will come obviously with an additional cost. But the current cost includes the 5 regular periods, which are periods of 2 months at INSEAD, so it's spread over the course of 1 year, divided into 5 periods of 2 months. And those include core courses and electives, so that's all included. But if we were to add an additional period or an additional course, then that would come with an additional cost. It's 1,600 for a mini supplementary course, euro, obviously. For a full supplementary course that would come at 2,900 euro. Or a campus fees for an extra additional period for somebody who wanted to extend the program, that will come with a 2,000 euro 700. That comes with no additional cost in terms of courses, if that is included into the 5 period, the core curriculum. So taking courses, lessons in Singapore, in Fontainebleau, or even in Abu Dhabi, because we have a program that can also study in Abu Dhabi, that is the same tuition fees. There is no additional cost apart from moving airplane and this sort of cost. But in terms of tuition, it's the same. You have to add also people who come with a family, because the average age at INSEAD is 29, and many people have come with partners and sometimes with children, and that will obviously increase slightly the cost. We tell people roughly to plan for a 30% increase of the total expenses in case they come with a family. So housing in Singapore is a little bit more expensive than in Fontainebleau, and it varies, as you say, from the standards and also previous income, previous lifestyle. Roughly, what we have done is we've made a calculation with an average, so that gives an idea of what people should expect, and the average for the current class in Fontainebleau is 10,000 euro for the whole year, and 12,000, close to 13,000 in Singapore. So in Singapore, typically people live in a condominium. With the pool, swimming pool on the top, and they tend to stay close in the similar or same condominiums, so they can meet at the pool, or they can really be close together. However, if they want to be living more far away from the campus or outside those condominiums, this is perfectly fine for them to do so, and sometimes could be a little bit cheaper to be a little bit far away from the campus, where the owners of apartments around the Singapore campus have understood that students wanted to be together. So sometimes it's smart to be two metro station away and have a smaller lease, but that all depends on what you can afford, right? And the life, again, coming back to the lifestyle. And in Fontainebleau, so Fontainebleau is a provincial city. It's 60 kilometers away from Paris, in the middle of the forest, of the Fontainebleau forest. So housing is a little bit cheaper. And for overall, people see the average is 10,000 euro for the year. And we see people living in either apartments downtown Fontainebleau, and then they don't need a car. They just cycle to use a bike and cycle to Fontainebleau, to the campus. Or if they want to live in a small village outside Fontainebleau, then again, that's a little bit cheaper, but that means having a car, a second-hand car or leasing. And again, that will come with a different price. And for books and other reading materials, I suggest people to plan roughly 300 euros for the whole year. Indeed, an MBA in general represents an investment, and a substantial investment. The way to calculate the investment and the opportunity cost, which is low for an INSEAD MBA because of the one-year format, where people have to forego very little in the way of resources in order to take advantage of this opportunity and have a top MBA on their CV. One way to calculate is really, and again, that will vary a lot from previous income and also country where people will go post MBA. And people have to be very mindful and probably do two sort of calculation. I think it's usually very smart to calculate in case you go back to a country where the income will be lower. And in case you go to a country where income could be a lot higher, and this is very easy to know. Obviously, going back to finance to New York or Hong Kong or London will be a totally different income than if you go back to Sri Lanka in an industry with a startup, for example. I'm giving you two extremes, but this is what happens at INSEAD, where we have people going to NGOs post MBA, as well as going to financial cost consulting, management consulting post MBA. And one way of calculating this investment is what if you go to this, or what if you go to that industry, and obviously this expense is to be divided over 1 year rather than 2 years or 18 months. So that's one smart way to do it. The other thing is to look at the statistics that are given on the website. So we give statistics, and again, I encourage people to look at different industries, because not everyone will go to management consulting, for example, or TMT. All the new big tech giant tend to offer very nice packages and sign-on bonuses when post MBA. So it's important to also put that into perspective and benchmark against the industry that people really target, not to take the overall medium salary, because that is, again, could vary tremendously from one country to another. The other thing that people need to put into perspective is whether they have a loan in euro, and they will be earning their salary in euro, or if their salary will be in a different currency. Some of our loan providers lend in USD, so this is important also to kind of account for. So that's my advice. So people need to budget an overall amount of 114,000 euro to be comfortable. And that will include everything, the tuition fees, but also car lease or the field trips. If this is in Singapore, that's going to be local transport. But that's a reliable and safe budget. It applies for both campuses. It putting things into perspective, the reason why it's similar, it's in Singapore, housing can be a little bit more expensive than in France, in Fontainebleau. However, in France, you might need a car, where in Singapore you don't, and transportation is cheaper, and food can be cheaper. So overall, it's the same. In terms of financial aid assistance, so I like your word assistance, because it's not just putting money on the table. It's not the only way to help people. It's very often also to advise them. So the team is really advising admitted students to consider multiple options. So we have roughly between 15 and 17% of the class that will be company sponsored. So that's it's small pool, but yet still a number of people who will have that taken care of. But we also we see a lot of people negotiating some sort of leave of absence, time, and time is money. So getting your company to give you the time to go for a full-time MBA is precious in those time, and then you can go back to the company in a different position. So that's also an advice that we give. We also encourage people to look at government funding. There are quite a number of countries that support higher education and graduate management education. Saudi Arabia does, Indonesia does, Spain does, a lot of European countries do. So we have expertise in that, so we can help you and tell you, look, we know that previous MBA students have managed to get that funding. Why don't you check this website or this company that could potentially support? So we have that as well. We also administer a number of scholarships, which will be either merit-based, so purely based on the merit of the applicant profile, and by merit we mean previous GPA, GMAT scores, outstanding professional experiences, or unique experience. So this is one of the merit, and we give guidelines. We explain for that specific scholarship, what we mean in terms of merit. And then we also have pure need-based scholarships, so people from low-income countries and who can demonstrate that the financial hurdle. So that's another aspect. We also have different type of scholarships. I'm going into details here, but that's a lot more simple on the website. People apply for it, and then we do the cooking in the background. We know which scholarship could fit better some of the profiles, but for the sake of this and transparency as well, I'll go into details. We have some scholarships that are funded by alumni. So we have very specific criteria for those scholarships as well. So some alumni, for example, would like to see more people from where they were originally. So, for example, we have one that is specific to Palestinian, Syrian region, because that specific donor was from the region. So helping the region as well access this higher education. But we have also scholarships that are not specific, region specific or sector specific, and in that case this is purely based on merit or a need. Yes, so they will be working with our advancement team. Not really with us at the beginning. So they approach our advancement team and they say, look, because INSEAD was my alma mater and that made a difference for me. I want to help people from my country to access this opportunity as well. Hence, I would like ideally people from that country. And then they do not interfere or come into play for the selection process itself. It's once the person has been admitted, when we have somebody from that specific region, then we share the profile, and that person will be kind of introduced to the donor. We work with a number of loan providers. Some will be providing loans in USD, and that's interesting if the person is going back to the US post INSEAD. So that could be a clever source of funding. We also work with a number of European companies, Landwise and StepX, and so they will be giving loans in euro. We also work with Prodigy. We work with Empower as well, who is also helping students studying in the US as well with US loans. We work with Juno. So indeed, we make sure that we have enough loan providers to meet the different criteria. Because it's important to really consider what is the currency you would like to reimburse your MBA. And Prodigy has been in the industry, and Empower have been in the industry for many years. So they are very flexible, and it's very quick in terms of response time. The INSEAD admissions letter is quite sufficient sometimes to just get an understanding whether you will be entitled to have a loan with them. So that's very convenient. We also work with some of the French banks like Société Générale or BNP Paribas, because sometimes they can have lower interest rates, and this is where the financial aid team is very helpful, because they can guide people and recommend some loan providers over others. But because of the diversity, if the nature of the admit pool and the applicant pool is such, and it's so wide, that we cannot just cater with just one loan scheme. We need to have different loan providers, and we also make sure that we can also work with the federal loans in the US. So the Alumni, for example, and all the other federal loans people can use them to study at INSEAD, Fontainebleau or Singapore, France or Singapore. In terms of overall annual median salary post INSEAD, people, the number we give or we receive from our graduates is 103 or 104,000 USD, because we speak post MBA, we speak in USD so that people can make the comparison. But again, that's an easy calculation. Bearing in mind that this is an average or a median salary, and that needs to be put into perspective depending on the sector and the country. So I'm always very careful with that number, because it can seem low for some people, but huge for others, and with also it's very difficult to compare it with other schools, because if you compare it to some US schools, then you also have the fact that some people studying in the US are likely to have earned salaries in USD and be already at that level. So it's important to put things into perspective. And this is the reason why we divide on our website, we divide by country and by sector. So the overall cost comparison between European schools and US schools. So I think European schools are pretty similar in terms of cost. Obviously, maybe living in the UK sometimes or in London, downtown London, can be a little bit more expensive, but overall, the cost is pretty similar. The big difference comes with the fact that the longer program and usually US-based programs come with higher cost. So the big difference is more with US schools than with European schools.